Alexander Hamilton. He's one of only 2 people to be on the U.S. currency without being a U.S. president. Here's why.
I am Alexander Hamilton. I was born January 11th, 1755. My father left me and the rest of my family when I was 10, and my mother died soon after.
I went to live with my older brother and cousin for a year until my cousin committed suicide. I then began working at a local import-export firm and was adopted by merchant Thomas Stevens.
Because my parents were never legally married, I was denied an education in all of the church schools. I taught myself until I was accepted into a grammar school and then later went on to King's College, otherwise known today as Columbia University.
In 1775, I joined a volunteer militia company and studied military history and tactics to become a lieutenant. In late 1776, I became General George Washington's aide as lieutenant colonel, and later became General George Washington's chief of staff.
I, Alexander Hamilton, fought and served as a Continental Army officer under General George Washington in the Revolutionary War.
After the war, I began to study law and became a lawyer in New York City. I often defended loyalists over the rebels, like in my most famous case, Rutgers v. Waddington.
I represented New York in the First Continental Congress, where I befriended the young Virginian, James Madison.
I persuaded James Madison and another young man, John Jay, to help me write the Federalist Papers.
The Federalist Papers were designed to support the ratification of the Constitution. Although I never did write any part of the Constitution, I did sign it. My Federalist Papers provided much-needed assistance in ratification.
I supported a strong centralized government in the Federalist Papers. Due to my belief in strong centralized control of fiscal policies and my previous experience in politics, I was appointed the first U.S. Secretary of Treasury.
As the nation's first Secretary of Treasury, I laid the foundation of America's economic system. My plan included the assumption of all state debts by the federal government, a more stable paper currency, subsidies to pay for those debts, a Bank of the United States, and a mercantilist economy to protect manufacturers through subsidies and tariffs.
Another part of my plan was a whiskey tax. It was intended to provide a steady source of revenue for a self-supporting government.
The public did not react well to my whiskey tax. They staged what is now known as the Whiskey Rebellion. Washington and I personally rode out to the Whiskey Rebellion to put an end to it, which ultimately showed the power of the federal government.
Things were going great, all until the election of 1800. Thomas Jefferson and Aaron Burr tied, and when I supported Thomas Jefferson, Burr became upset. Things got even worse when I trash-talked Burr in my newspaper.
Burr challenged me to a duel where I was shot, and 31 hours later, died.
As a Revolutionary War veteran, a lawyer, and a politician who founded our economic system, Alexander Hamilton rightfully earned his place on the $10 bill.
Ta-da!